Yes.
Well, thank you all for coming. Welcome to the Tech Club. This is such a useful service. And I was going to uh, introduce Andrew, but he would like to introduce himself, and I think that's absolutely charming. So we're going to let him tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll get started learning about how to use all these library services. So
Oh yeah.
I'm going to mute. I know my husband wished I always had one of these buttons, so I'm going to use it. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to introduce myself shortly, kind of that I wanted to talk about my team. I work on the public technology team at Lawrence Public Library, and we have an awesome team here of the most helpful people. Everyone in the library is great. I'm a little biased to say that our team is the best, you know. We're led by Jim Barnes, who I think has done quite a few of these in the past, and we all take time to do tech one-on-ones appointments, and we'll go over that a little bit more if you don't know what those are. And it's really fun getting to know the community and trying to help people understand how to use technology a little better in their lives and what the library has as resources. As a little intro to myself, my name's Andrew Ragleby. I have lived in Lawrence for 7 years now, which feels insane because I feel like I still just barely moved here. My wife came out, we came out for a PhD program for my wife. She just finished. So if you know of any art history PhD jobs around town, please let us know. And my technology background is I've worked at a lot of startups in Utah where I grew up. There was a lot of startup companies, technology based, and so I started working in a lot of those. I only took like one computer science class in college, but I've always loved technology, always been working with it. And it was a fun when I came to this library. I wanted to work at this library as soon as I came to my first event. And with that, I was able, luckily enough, after some time, to be able to join the public technology team and been here for a couple of years now, and I've loved it. So thanks for all those who come and say hi to us and all the people that use our services here. So that said, I wanted to kind of go over a few points that our technology team works with when we're working with the library. So we do a lot of stuff with the digital library collection, which is something we'll go over today. And we also run the computer lab downstairs. There's kind of two computer labs broken up into like a quieter area and then like an atrium, a little more lab where you can work on the computers and maybe take a phone call or work on something. And so that's one of our responsibilities. And we also have a recording studio downstairs that has a lot of things more than just like a recording studio that we'll kind of go over. And then with that, we have inside the recording studio, we'll get into the details of like other projects that we do. And one of them is digitization of old media. And we have a lot of converters of VHS to DVD or VHS to digital files, cassette to digital, vinyl to digital, and any kind of major past technology, Super 8 film, slides, all this different media that we worked with in the past that is no longer usable for most people because they don't have the players or the means to look at it anymore. We have ways of digitizing it at the library. And Kathleen's worked really hard to get us a fundraise and to get a new digitization room that we're building. Hopefully by the end of the year is kind of the big goal for it, right? And so I'm really excited to expand what we already have and making it in a more public and better spot that people can see how cool all this stuff is and kind of revitalize some of their old home videos or any kind of old projects that you worked on or anything like that. So very excited with that, and I'm very excited to show people what we currently have and what we're going to continue to build up. And one more thing I just mentioned before we get started is our tech one-on-ones. And so we're going to go over a lot of stuff today, probably a lot of it very quick because we only have an hour and we're going to talk about quite a few things. And that's okay. Like if you have questions, like maybe you can do the raise a hand icon, maybe we can talk about it, or maybe we can save questions at the end. I'm happy to go like stop or talk about what you guys want to talk about. But if there's something you want to know more information about that we might have to just kind of go quickly over today, always come talk to us at the desk. And we have these technology one-on-ones. We have 8 a week, Monday through Thursday at 1:30 and 4 p.m. And a technology one-on-one is where you get to spend time with a member of our team, and you get to spend an hour with them for whatever questions you have, like technology related. And it's a really great service. I think it's really innovative because like we had in the past, we had technology like stop bys where maybe a few people come every week and kind of dominate the conversation. But like the nice thing about these is it's like you get to book it. Once it's booked, it's your hour to use with one of our staff here, and we're all pretty knowledgeable. We've got music producers. We've people worked in technology, IT. We have one of our coworkers is a big animator, went to Cal Arts. We have just a diverse crew. We have plenty of people who've done bands, music, all sorts of stuff. And so we have this diverse pool of knowledge to pull from so that we can help you with anything. And if we can't help you with it, we'll try our best. We're not experts in everything because technology is too hard to be an expert in everything, but we can always show you what we know and kind of guide you in the right path. I think that's like kind of base of all what library work is, right? It's like nobody knows everything in a library, but we kind of know you where to send you and how to help you out. So hopefully with today's training, we're going to do a little bit more on that. And so I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I'm going to show you our library website. And how is it looking on your Zoom? Because I remember last time I did this, it was looking a little small. Is that changing the size at all? Does that look good?
I think
Okay.
it's good. At least
If
like
that
the
looks
upper
good.
half of it.
Yeah. So with this is our Lawrence Public Library website, and it's a pretty simple website, which I like, is lplks.org. So Lawrence Public Library, Kansas.org. If you search Lawrence Public Library, like Kansas, you would find our website, near the top results. So on this website, there's a couple sections we're going to talk about today. The first one we're going to talk about is under our Browse and Borrow, we have a digital library. The second functionality we're going to talk about later, and if we get time to do it, most of this stuff is the audiovisual tools. And then the third section, if we have time, which I'm not sure we will, we would talk more about some of the other things we have physically in the library downstairs that we can kind of guide you with. So that said, we're going to start with our digital library. So to get there, you click on this top banner up here. It says Browse and Borrow, and then you go to the digital library. And the digital library is everything that you have access to with your library card. If you have a library card at Lawrence Public Library, you're going to use these resources. And some of them are really cool. Some of them they're all cool, but some of them are really cool. Some of them, you might be a little niche for what you're looking for. But I wanted to start out with talking about this new library speakers. And I'm actually I'm going to turn this time over to Kathleen to kind of promote this section real quick. And we'll see what she has to say.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, this is a brand new service that the library is offering. It's, I think, particularly of interest to folks who are in book clubs, because it's a great way to kind of reinforce and learn more about some of the books that you might be reading. There's actually, and Andrew, I don't know if you want to go back to the homepage, there's 2 ways to get to this.
Oh, like on the homepage.
Yeah, under Browse and Borrow, the little heading there. If you click on that and you hit Digital Library, kind of how you got there before, and then scroll down, there's this icon that says Library Speakers Consortium, and that gets you in. And then the second way, if you go back to the homepage, or you can go to Resources at the top. So there's 2 easy ways to get there. And then there is a direct link under Research and Learn for Library Speakers Consortium. So that's kind of nice to have 2. We try to think of all the various ways to make it pretty obvious to get to it. And so either one of those ways will get there. And the thinking behind this is, as you would probably imagine, it costs a lot to bring an author in. In the tens of thousands of dollars for author visits for big time authors. And what this service is, it's a consortium of about 400 libraries that have pooled resources under this one Library Speakers Consortium. And they line up the authors and schedule virtual talks with them. And so there's generally 2 to 3 talks per month. Some of them are, bestseller type authors, fiction, nonfiction. And then there's also a partnership with the Smithsonian, where they have a collaboration with that organization and bring in some of their speakers as well. So it's kind of a nice variety. So first list are the upcoming speakers. Those are the folks that are scheduled from now until, I think it's to the end of the year. And if you click on, say, you click on one of these into the see more and register if you want to sign up. So there's a little button for you to register there. And when you click on that, it'll ask for your name and email. And then the benefit of signing up in advance is you can actually provide questions that they will present to the author ahead of time. And hopefully those will all be answered in the course of the conversation. So the benefit of actual, the folks that are upcoming is that you can get your questions answered. Now, then you register. You don't need a library card for this service. You can share the link with friends or your book club folks. It's really pretty open in terms of accessibility. So it's a kind of a wonderful service in that regard. You can also do group viewings, that kind of thing. There's no licensing issues there either. That's all part of the subscription that we pay to the service. So the top part is upcoming speakers. And if you scroll down to the bottom, these are the past event recordings. And yeah, and actually there's a testimonial from Jack Altman already in the chat. Said it's so simple. Maureen already has accessed it and is perusing it as we speak. So all sorts of great past event recordings. If you kind of go back, I don't know if any of you read Remarkably Bright Creatures. It's a really, really fun read, and that author was on not too long ago. Exploration of Friendship, Reckoning and Hope with novelist Shelby Van Pelt. So you can kind of peruse those, see what's available, and those are instantaneous. You just click on it and the talk from the past comes up and you can watch it. And again, you can share the link with your friends, family members, watch it together and discuss it. So we're really, really excited about the possibilities that this offers us. It's a much more economical way to get access to big time authors. And they give us some pretty good advanced warning of who's coming for the future. So I think if there's anyone really big out there on the horizon, keep an eye on the library website. And we will keep you posted as to those events. But yeah, just, go in, click around, see what appeals to you and have fun. It's really, really easy, really fun. And there's nothing you can go sideways on in this one. It's really pretty straightforward. So does anybody have any questions? So tell your book club friends about it. Oh, yes.
Does it include in-person recordings that you've had from authors here, or is that just this consortium one?
Yeah, it's just this consortium. If we do get permission to record an author that we bring in, it would be on the library's YouTube page. And we would, make that. A lot of times they limit the amount of time we can have it posted. Usually it's like 10 days to 2 weeks after the author talk. And so we would make that available either on the front page of the website or else as part of our YouTube channel, which on the front page, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a YouTube icon. If you click on that, that takes you to the library's personal page, for lack of a better
These are the
term.
homepage.
Yeah, all the way to the bottom, way down. This is how I get to it because it's easiest. But see over to the left, there's like Facebook and then Instagram, and the next one with the little arrow, that's YouTube right there. And if you click on that, that takes you to Lawrence Public Library's YouTube page and all of the various videos that we have, including retroactive. If you hit the playlist icon or playlist thing, you can find the retroactive recordings, including this one as of probably tomorrow. And you can have fun with those. So see, there's author talks, there's just all sorts of things. So But yeah, the authors that we bring in will be on this list as opposed to the Library Speakers Consortium.
Okay.
Good question. All right,
Well,
anything else?
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
anything else?
Great, thank you.
So now we're going back to this digital library, and this is a relatively new program, so I'm really excited. Thank you, Kathleen, for kind of sharing a little bit more about it, and some awesome opportunity. There's always more videos I want to watch, and now we have even more.
I know, isn't that exciting?
So the next thing we're going to talk about Libby, and so you can notice that under Libby it says the word Overdrive. Some of you may have used Overdrive in the past. And basically, Overdrive is now a parent company, and Libby is the product that Overdrive kind of used to be in a more updated, nicer version. So Libby is a product Overdrive where you go and you can check out ebooks, audiobooks, and those are the two main things. But it works just like other kind of online lending devices. And if you look on, or like if you click on from the library website, it just takes you into what's called libbyapp.com. And we have people who kind of have some trouble logging in. It's usually because they were like logged in with a past library card or something. But I do appreciate how straightforward it is, because it's not asking you to do like an account creation with like a username and a password. It is just to sign in with your library card. And so you click sign in with your library card. And so I'm going to put in my library card number. Don't everyone check out all my books, all right?
Gotta check stuff off and, suspend your library privileges.
And so now we are logged in with just my library card and PIN, just like you would use at Lawrence Public Library. And it kind of takes you to a similar page that is similar to like what our Lawrence Public Library website looks like, of like, okay, here's your library book. These are books that we are kind of recommending right now because, as you assume, it's October, so we got some horror coming on with Halloween up in the works. And so this is the landing page that takes you to, but it's not the main page I want to focus on with Libby. So if you are like me, I love audiobooks. I've pretty much switched exclusively audiobooks, not exclusively, but pretty close. And I love going on walks and listening to a book, or, doing some house chores or something and trying to find a book. And that's where Libby really shines for me. And so Libby has a lot of good functionality in their search filter that seems pretty intuitive. You'll notice there's not like on our Lawrence Public website, there's a lot of really good stuff on there, but it can be a little complicated. Libby is nice and simplified, where there's basically 5 buttons down at the bottom. So we're on the far left one that's a magnifying glass, and that's usually like universal sign for search. And so if you were to click on search, you can go and find books. And right off the bat, you can see some filters that you're looking for. And so there's a couple ways to use Libby. You can read on a web browser on your computer, or you can listen to it as an audiobook on your computer. A lot of people choose to do it on their phones, though. That's the most common way, I'd say. But also there's e-readers like tablets, iPads, or Kindle devices. And so it has all the functionality across all of them. They match, they look almost exactly the same. And I really appreciate that with the website sometimes. And so if you were to have it on whatever device you're looking for, if you had it on like a Kindle Fire, or if you had it on an iPad, or if you had it on your computer or any phone, it's going to look very similar to this. And so when we go to this far left little search icon, you can type in a name if you know exactly what you're looking for, but sometimes I don't know what I'm looking for. And so what I like to do is like, I'm going to start with a general thing. It's like, okay, today I want to do an audiobook. So I'm going to click on audiobooks, and it defaults to showing, it says 1 of 497. That's not only 497 books. That's of many pages of how many books. That's like, I think it's like 8,000 or like 15,000 or something. And so we're going to go in, and I was like, oh, well, that's a lot of stuff to look through. So I'm going to click on these 3 bars over here, and this is like a filter. And so I click on that, and it gives you even more options to look through and like filter down your results. And so the next filter I want to do is available now. This is really important if you're like trying to find something right away. So we have holds lists for books. If you ever want to find something you know it's popular, but then everyone else has got it, you'll want to put a hold on it because it might take a couple weeks or months to get to it, depending on how popular the book is. But if you want something up right now, you click on available now. And so now I have an audiobook filter in available now. And then I'm just going to put in general content like that. I just still don't know, so I'm just going to keep it at that. And you'll see that there's 5,275 titles that are available now that are under like general content. And so if I look at this, oh, look, we've got Hillary Clinton's, book. And we've got, I saw some new cool fiction. And the book that I was going to do that I saw when I was testing this out earlier was Phantom of the Opera. So I'm going to just type in the name Phantom of the Opera. Orchestra. So Phantom of the Opera. It's like, oh, it's Halloween season right now. I want to get this book. And so you can see when you have it as an audio, like this right now, the search kind of superseded where it has audiobooks and ebooks. But I want the audiobooks. I'm going to go back and click that audiobook, and then it's got exactly my search, and then something maybe that's close to my search that maybe he was trying to find, like try to be clever. So I'm going to go ahead, and you'll see that this book is 8 hours, and it's got little like they call them like earphones or AirPod or just whatever this little earbud icon is, and then 8 hours, and shows how long this book is and that it is an audiobook. If we were to get rid of that. The filter of the audiobooks, you'll see that this one just says read as opposed to play. So that's the difference between like an ebook and an audiobook, is there's no little like little time limit on how long it's going to last, and it says read versus play. So I'm going to go ahead and click borrow in this, and you'll see that it's got my library card already put in there because we did that. This is our first step. And I can borrow it right away, and it'll give it to me for 21 days. So as soon as I click borrow, it gives me two options: keep browsing or go to shelf. So if I could keep browsing, it goes back to the page that we were on that search icon down here. But if I like, oh, I want to actually, that was a mistake, I want to go to my book. What we do is you come down to this tab at the bottom. It looks like a couple books stacked on each other, and this is called your bookshelf. So if you go to your bookshelf, you'll see the things like this is kind of your account. So it's like right now I have one thing checked out. I have 5 things on hold. I can look at my timeline of books that I've read. And right here is my recent loan, the book that I was just checking out. So if I go ahead and say open audiobook, it kind of loads for a second because the audio files aren't super big, but it might take a second to download a whole book, but usually it starts playing pretty quick when you have these files. If I go ahead and press play.
Blackstone Audiobooks presents.
You can hear this audiobook. It's got a nice little build-up. But say you're on a time crunch and you're in a book club and you want to like read the book even quicker. There's awesome features in here that right now the playback speed is at normal speed. At 1, this is how it was recorded. This is how it's going to sound. If it's going a little too fast for you, you can slow it down to 60%. So let's go ahead and try that real quick. You'll see it sounds a little more ghostly as everything is just going a little slower than normal. But say you're in that time crunch and you want to do it for book club, like I was saying, you go to 1.5 speed. And now the music sounds a little funky, but it goes a lot faster. So you can see the time difference. Instead of an 8-hour book, we like over 8-hour book, we've already dropped it down, a considerable amount by this, by doing it at 1.5 speed. So I think it's a really fun feature that Libby has, is that you can adjust how you want to listen to it, and it's pretty easy to change. Like you click on normal, you can do 1.5, 1.5, or even do double speed if you really want. That would take, instead of an 8-hour book, it'd become a 4-hour book for you. So that's the functionality of this. We have a rewind button that has a 15 on it, and what that means is 15 seconds. So like maybe you were daydreaming for a second and weren't really paying attention, you can click that 15 seconds, or click it a couple times to get back to what was just said. And then the same with a fast forward, you can fast forward about 15 seconds. You can also, I don't recommend doing this kind of stuff, but you can also like jump in time depending on like where you want to go into the book. But I don't like doing that as much. I kind of just like try to do it in the setting. And then there's also, there's a title page. that you can like kind of jump through and see the different sections of the book. If you want to like skip to the next chapter, like you can skip over to the next chapter with these buttons over here. Oh, here's the table of contents right here. And then you can, if you like, oh, I just want to see the end of the book of a book I've already read or something, you could jump to that section just like you would on a normal book. So that is that is like the main functionality of Libby. Let me go back and look at our shelf anymore. So I'm going to go back to our hold section and see that if there's something you really want, like Kathleen was talking about Remarkably Bright Creatures earlier. I was reading that or listening to that book and I didn't finish, and then I lost it. And so sadly it didn't auto renew for me because there's a big wait list for it. So I'm still 2 weeks away to finish a couple chapters left in that book for me. But then you can see there I have other books and wait lists that I'm really excited to get sometime. So that is the main functionality of your shelf of loans, is like the kind of the default of what you have checked out. And then hold is what you're expecting. And then if you want to remember a book that you've read in the past, you can kind of look at your timeline and see some books in that timeline. So that's like the main functions I want to talk about with Libby. There are a few more things you could go into, like you could add multiple cards, like Northeastern Kansas, you get access to a lot of different library cards. You could do that, but we pretty much have the same thing as most people, but it's still an option for you. There's also the library's recommended page right here, but those are kind of the main talking points. So if anybody has any questions, we'll move on to the next portion.
I want to just quickly, and I know you don't have a lot of time. I have multiple library cards for this same reason. I always will try to borrow something from our library. And you can get library cards online at a lot of libraries, but I have Topeka, Johnson County, Kansas City here, and the state library.
Yep.
And the reason I do that is the wait lists vary. So if we have a book that everybody is reading here in Lawrence, that might not be as popular at the state library or in Topeka, and you might have a chance to get it faster. So that's the reason I use it. And I do recommend that if you're ever in one of those areas with a library, stop and you can easily get a library card. And like I said, in many cases, except Johnson County, you can do it online. So just a comment.
Absolutely. Thank you for the comment. So now we're going to go back to the digital library page, and we're going to go moved on to our next one. Now, this one is something that is maybe not super popular with a lot of library patrons because they don't know about it yet. But we have this program called LinkedIn Learning that we pay for, and this is super useful, particularly in tech. As we mentioned, we do a recording studio, and we have a lot of different softwares we have to use and manage with a recording studio. And you can't be a master of everything. Like there's just too much stuff out there. And so with LinkedIn Learning is a really glorified possibility it's a kind of like professional software. So a lot of stuff is related to business, but there's a lot of software and hobby stuff, particularly with technology, that you can learn with this website. So I'm going to go ahead and like say I want to become more of an expert on Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link through our website. I'm going to type in our library information. 1176. And so once I've logged into LinkedIn Learning, it's another kind of application that teaches you a lot of stuff and has lots of videos. And the reason I like this over something like YouTube is YouTube, I don't know how many of you have had trouble trying to find a video how to do something on YouTube, but it can be very hit or miss. There's a lot of experts on there, but there's a lot of people making kind of, boring videos that aren't really well done, or there's bad pacing. They're just not as helpful as you'd hope they were. And particularly when it comes to like software stuff. And so it's like, I want to look at how to do something in Microsoft Word, and there might be a really long video that doesn't have timestamps or doesn't kind of tell you exactly how to do it. But on LinkedIn Learning, what you're getting is you are getting videos or courses made by professionals in a very high-end fashion with good animations. There's homework assignments. There can be all sorts, and you can have a basic beginning class that could be maybe like 30 minutes, and you could have a class that's 40 hours. there's that much diversity on this website. So if we were to look in like Microsoft Word, for instance. So I'm going to type in the word essentials. And you're going to see we have 1,675 results for this. And there are filtering practices on here that you can kind of go through and see like, oh, do I want to do a course, or am I going to do some other filter by choosing like, oh, beginner, intermediate, advanced, how long it is. But this just kind of gives you an overall best match as the first search, and then you can kind of go into these filters and try and find a better version of it. But I really like this, where whenever you're searching for something, what I like to do, type in is the word essential, because that kind of gives you a good base. You know, a 30-minute course might not give you enough in-depth stuff for what you probably know a little bit already. But an essential is like going to highlight different sections. So if we go to like into this LinkedIn Learning, click on this course, what you're going to see is going to pop up with a training video. And it's you know, it's broken down. If you look on the left side over here, that the first introduction video is 41 seconds. The next section is 2 minutes, 13 seconds. The next section is almost 2 minutes. And it kind of just gives you a breakdown of each one of these courses. So the beginning is an introduction. And then a couple of videos in, there's a get started. And then working with text. And so you'll see that it's over this 3-hour breakdown, it's very small videos that are very manageable. Like the biggest one I'm seeing is like an 8-minute video, roughly. And it breaks it, and it gives you a title of what you're working with. Like, oh, I want to know more about tables in Microsoft Word. Those are pretty complicated compared to just doing text editing. And so you can click on here and go ahead and see what the section is and try and find that. So I really appreciate the format and the high quality of these videos. And you'll notice if we go back to our search results,
Right, yes, deserve.
we're going to see when they were like last updated. So right in this one was updated April 2023. So this is, you know, it's over a year old, but that's pretty good for Microsoft Word because a lot of it stay the same for a long time. But you just want to kind of double check and see when the last time something was updated. Like this, for instance, is from Word 2016. That's an old version of Word. Maybe your computer has that, so it's still like a valuable resource, but it might not be the most efficient, like most up-to-date thing that you're working on with a current computer or a current version of Microsoft Word. So just a few things to look out for, but it's very, very useful. Like we use a lot of like, in our recording studio, we use lots of programs like Logic, Basics, Logic Pro. And you can kind of like learn how to do recording software with these videos. I just think it's a very fun exercise that, like, if you want to learn a new technology skill, to kind of see if they have some courses on here. And if you go back to the when we did the first search for Microsoft Word, you'll notice that it says the word course right here, while sometimes this is just, it's just this learning path. It doesn't say the word course. That means it's just an individual video part of something else. But very useful. And if you're ever doing anything that you just having a real hard time with, try and find a basics course on LinkedIn Learning. It's a paid service that you get for free with the library. Super happy with that. So we're going to go back to our, does anyone have any questions on that side of things? So those are kind of the big ones I want to talk about, is like some of our main talking points, but then we still got plenty more great ones. I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar with Canopy. We kind of have this awesome service, and Canopy was actually bought up with the same company that owns Libby, the Overdrive. And so they're kind of packaged together as different library softwares that this company is using. And Canopy is an online streaming service that has some really cool stuff. And so if we log into our Canopy, so I just went back to our, I was going too fast, on our digital services tab on our website. Just click on a Canopy, it takes you right into the website, and we'll do login. And the first time you create Canopy, this one, people have trouble with logging in, is you have to create an account the first time you log in. But once you do, then it's a little easier. You don't have to memorize your library card. But if you have created an account and then forgot, you might have to come through a process, and you can always come to the tech desk and we can help you out to kind of get your account back. But might be an in-person thing to do at the tech desk if you're ever struggling with logging into Canopy. But Canopy gives you 30 tickets a month for free to watch videos. And if you'll see that they have, just like all streaming services, they're kind of getting close to that Halloween time. So they're promoting a lot of their famous horror movies or Halloween movies. And if you click on a movie, it kind of, if you hover over it, it gives you like a little like info sheet about it. And if you click on the see more, you'll see that, oh, Evil Dead, I want to watch this movie. It would cost 2 tickets to check out this movie, and it would last for 72 hours. So you don't have to watch it all in one sitting. You have 3 days roughly to watch this movie with the credits that you use. So 30 tickets, that means you get 15 a month for free because of your library card. And once again, it's another service we pay for, but it's totally worth, everyone who uses it loves it. And Canopy is not like, it may not have like the most, you know, blockbustery films all the time, but there's so much good stuff, particularly in documentaries and just kind of some kind of like foreign films, or there's just a real good diversity in these movies. And then a lot of like stuff that you probably always had on a wish list that you wanted to watch. So that's kind of a big breakdown of Canopy. But if we go back to our website, we'll see we have a Canopy Kids, and Canopy Kids is just it's a kind of like a censored version, so that you're not going to get anything inappropriate for kid. You know, they have like little age restrictions, and it kind of just shows a lot of educational stuff. But my coworker was kind of promoting some of these right here. He uses them with his kid, and that basically it's a read along story time that's been animated and cute to famous books. And so it's a really cute way to just kind of do some online books. If you're exhausted, if you're doing the 4th one in a row to some kid in your life, then maybe this is a good way to kind of watch some of those as well. And yeah, it's pretty quick, 4 minutes for those ones. And it doesn't look like it costs a credit too, which is really nice for some of the shorter stuff. They just kind of give it to you. And then, yeah, that's kind of what I want to say on Canopy. But the login on this is a little trickier than Libby, but it's still not too hard. Well, just remember, if you've already created an account, you'll just have to use whatever email address you did to log into it. And then once again, we can help you at the tech desk if you're having trouble logging back into a device. Oh, I did want to say with this is that you can watch this on any kind of service. You can watch it on a laptop like we're doing right now in this presentation, but you can also just watch it on like your TV if you have a smart TV. And a smart TV is usually a TV that like lets you download applications, and there would be a Canopy application that you could log into, and then you just log in through your TV, same account information as you did online. But if you don't have a smart TV, you can also use other devices such as like an Amazon Fire Stick or Google Chromecast or Apple TV. There's these like extra plugins that basically turn a TV into a smart TV, and they have app stores, and you should be able to get it. A lot of TVs are coming now with Roku installed on them, and that basically makes just any TV a smart TV a little bit. And Roku store has Canopy on there. And if it's working for a long time and then it stops working, this is kind of a common problem we have with patrons that come to the library. It probably means your library card expired or something, and we just have to redo your library card. And then if it's still not working on your TV on that, we might have to just delete the app and then have you re-log in. But it's super, super smooth, super good programs. Next thing is just real quick. We have our Storytime YouTube channel on this digital learning page. So just a cute way of like, if you have been going to a lot of different story times or like some of them, it kind of just links directly to that. And as Kathleen showed us about our YouTube channel earlier in this presentation, this is directly to Storytime. Flipster is an underutilized app that for me personally, that I just think is so cool, and I really need to get into it a bit more. But basically, it's almost every magazine current, and it's for free. So if you are a big fan of New Yorker, but it's a little pricey, you can go ahead and just read it online through this application. And they have a phone app or a tablet, like if you have a smart device or like phone or iPad or anything like that, you can install the Flipster app, and then you can just read it on that. And it's not like the prettiest thing in the world sometimes, but like it looks better if you have it on some kind of tablet. But you can go in there, and then you get options to like zoom in if you need to. It doesn't quite work on the Zoom presentation, but yeah, there's functionality to zoom in and out with it if the text is too small on your computer or your device. And you get every magazine for free, and I just love it. So highly recommend Flipster if you're ever looking to try a new magazine before you get it or subscribe to it. Washington Post is another service we have. And in order to access this, it gives you, if you look underneath a lot of these, it kind of give you instructions on how to do it. Most of them work if you're just logged in with your library card, but some of them are a little more tricky. And Washington Post is one of those where you need to like log in, create an account and log in through the libraries. If you just try to go to Washington Post website without going through our website, it'll try and make you pay. But if you are already logged in through our library website and click through this link, then you can go ahead and you can sign in and it'll work to give you access to the Washington Post. It will not work on the phone app. This is a browser only version of it, but still that is a awesome service that you can use on any tablet or anything as well if you really want to see some of these articles that are blocked behind paywalls. New York Times is a little bit easier. This one, if you go ahead and click on this link right here, it gives you a lot of instructions. If you go to the page first, click on the icon, it tells you like a big list of stuff to know. Basically, what you need to know is you need to create an account for the New York Times for free. It'll ask you to subscribe, you don't subscribe to it. And then once you've logged into your account, you can go ahead and there's this code right here, access off sign. If you're just in the library, it's going to work automatically. If you're using our Wi-Fi, it just automatically works for you. But if you're trying to do it at home, which I imagine a lot of you would, is you have to log into your New York Times account, which you created, and then you go ahead and click this access code. And if you click that, the library generates this code for you to have the New York Times subscription for 3 days, 72 hours. And then you have full access to the Times. You just have to log into your account in order to work with that. And so if I were to go in, well, it's being slow, so I'm not going to worry about it right now, but it gives you full access to the New York Times, which is awesome. And this one does work on the phone app as well. So if you had it on a tablet or your phone, the New York Times will work with that 72-hour code. You just have to do it every 3 days. That's fair though, it's worth it if you want to get to those good articles. We're going to go to Freeding next. We're not going to talk much about it, but basically it is another online service that kind of has, my understanding is they kind of focus on having, public domain or just really cheap stuff that they get for free, and we get to use it too. And so this is kind of, a lot of libraries have access to this, and it's always fun to like check and see. So they have like a lot of public domain stuff in here. It's all ebooks, but that's still worth going checking out. Like if you know someone who's struggling and needs to find some kind of classic, maybe come check on Freeding. And it won't work on a computer. You'll have to have the app on your phone or tablet, and then you should be able to download the files. But other than that, it's a great little free service. And then we're going to go to Douglas County Digital Douglas County History. And so this is a fun website that, just local website promoting local histories. And so if you just go through, it kind of shows like different promoted items of collections around Douglas County of important objects, so there's usually a few photographs and kind of gives you just information about local history stuff that you want to look up to. And one of them is Ozma Local History Room, so we can find out more information with that. But yeah, if you're a history buff, want to know a little bit more local town stuff, check this website, and also talk to our good staff at Info Services, and they can kind of help promote a little bit more of this collection that might show some real highlights in there. Kaw Valley Jukebox is an awesome local history music kind of database where we're archiving. We people in charge of it. We have a colleague here who does a really good job of just trying to find all the cool bands around. And if they want, they can upload their album or their song or whatever they kind of want to put onto this website of local Lawrence music, And so we got some bands that have been around for a while, some that are just new. And if they want to kind of get their stuff put in this record, you can go and listen to it. And if you pull up an album, you'll get to see like, oh, I want to click on whatever song, and you just click play, it'll play through the browser for you. So good way to, if you hear a band at one of the local venues and you want to hear more, go check out the Kaw Valley Jukebox and see if they've got something you're interested in. But really cool history tool, minimum. Now we're gonna go to Kansas State Library, and this kind of brings back to the point of Jack was saying that if you live in northeastern Kansas, you get to have a library card for pretty much most libraries around, and so you can sign up for a Kansas State Library of Kansas card. And if you're ever in the library, you can go and you can do it at our accounts desk. They'll be able to do it for you, or you can do it online and they'll just kind of send you the information that way. And we link over to our digital books tab, and it shows, this website is not the most intuitive. And so there could almost be a class fully on this, but we don't use it as much as Libby for other things, but it's something that I think everyone should take a look at, because it gives you a lot of different applications that you have to first have your Kansas State Library card number, and then when you have that, usually the PIN for it is set for you. And with that, you can go ahead and get these different apps on your phone or computer. And some of them are really good. Some of them, they're okay. And it gives a little description of each one. So like Britannica collection, just a lot of information, the old nonfiction, huge topic encyclopedia kind of stuff. Or if you want, the Cloud Library is actually a pretty good digital service that has ebooks, audiobooks, and you can go ahead and find stuff that maybe you haven't found on Libby or other websites. Cloud Library is really cool. Like, I think that's probably my favorite one. You'll see that Freeding is on here as well. That's another access. So you have access through our library or through the Kansas State Library. And then if you're like me and like comic books every once in a while, here's a good way to get Comics Plus for free with your card as well. And there's just lots of stuff on here. So this is the kind of stuff that we promote and highlight, but with it, there's so much more. There's like databases you have access to if you're ever doing research on anything. Yeah, it's a really extensive site that may not have exactly what you're looking for, but it's got really cool information. And that kind of covers the talking points I want to do of digital library. So does anyone have any questions about what that entails for you?
I was wondering, how searchable the Douglas County history stuff is. I mean, is it just something that you browse through, or if you're looking for something in particular?
I'm gonna guess that it's not like there is a search function on here, but the searching works. You have to have a lot of tags on it and kind of build out the website, and so you're gonna want to be very specific. And so I feel like it's gonna be hard unless you know kind of what you're looking for in that regard, but it is searchable. But
Okay.
yeah, that's where like maybe info services, if there's something you're looking for, maybe talk to our team at info services. They might have a little better guidance for you on that.
Okay.
Great
Thank you.
question. So anything else? We're going to move on to the next thing in our Browse and Borrow tab. We're going to go to audio-visual tools. And audio-visual tools is this, we were talking about stuff that you have access to with home. And all that stuff you can do at home on your computer, on your phone, however you want to do it. And this stuff is also stuff that you can do at home, but you'll probably have to, you will have to come to the library and pick it up, because we're going to be talking about some of our digitization kits that we have here. And so as we were mentioning, we have a digitization room in our recording studio that maybe I'll talk about that first. We're going to do that real quick and showcase our studio space just to give an idea of what we can do. So we have on our library main website, there's a visit and reserve a space button, and it lets you book a space like a meeting room or study room or even the auditorium, and there's the Sound and Vision Studio. And so if you click on the Sound and Vision Studio, it kind of gives a brief breakdown of the different rooms in our studio. So we have it broken up into 3 recording rooms and 2 kind of utility rooms is how our studio is. So we try to separate the noise of the 3 recording rooms so there's not like noise contamination while people are working on projects. And it's broken up into Suite A, which is a small recording studio. And if you can see, there's like a microphone, some speakers, and then this computer has pretty much all the files you need to make any kind of recording with our equipment. So it's very basic, but it's got everything you need maybe you have to bring your own instrument or so, or we could bring one of our instruments that we have in this room for you. But a lot of people really love using this room as just a kind of a quiet, good space to make music recordings. We have people do audiobooks. People do podcasts sometimes. But yeah, this room is mostly for singing and recording instruments and such. Then we have rooms B and C, which look identical, but there's no microphone if you look at this thing. And C right now is one of our bigger rooms. And that one, if you look into it, it actually has all of our digitization equipment in there. And we can't fit it all in there, which is one of the reasons why we're going to kind of build our digitization room outside of the studio. But basically we have in B, it's just like, it's got programs for editing and mixing and just kind of working on projects that don't involve recording. It's kind of like finishing your projects is kind of what B is. And Suite C is also like that, but then we have VHS converter, or we can sometimes, depending on the camcorder, we can hook it up and digitize it. We have 8mm reel-to-reel digitization, audio cassette, image scanning, vinyl digitization, photo editing, graphic design. This room can do everything, and it's only going to get better once we finish our update with the new room. And then the final jewel of our studio is our recording studio. And so we have in our recording studio, it doesn't give like a full picture of it. It's a 2-room recording studio. One is like the instrument room, and then one kind of like the tracking room. And so you can go ahead and set up all the mics are for like the drums, for instance, are already set up, and we can bring in, add other mics and whatever you need to kind of get the recording of a band or a single artist or however you want to do it recording. And then the other room has got a computer with all the levels and volume and synthesizer and a few other instruments in there that you can work with. And so if you haven't been given a tour of the Sound of Vision studio, I highly recommend it. Come like early in the morning around like 10 o'clock and we can probably show it to you. Or come around like 2 to 3, depending on the day. If it's like a weekday, come around 2 o'clock. But yeah, roughly around 2 o'clock any day should be a good time to like get a quick tour of the studio, because it's very full. It always books up. And if you want to do some recording in there, you gotta book it about 3 weeks in advance generally. But we do have, if there is an opening, we'll let anybody in there or give a tour of it. It just usually is kind of booked up for 3 weeks in advance. And so if you want to book a session in there, you just kind of follow these steps by clicking a booking, and you'll see this is what's available. Everything in black is unavailable. And so there is a recording studio tomorrow morning. Somebody might have canceled or something. And so you can go ahead and book that in there. But you'll see that each one of these is, and there wasn't a picture of the Videocast studio. Let me see if I can find the Videocast studio real quick. Let's just go show you. This is our Videocast studio. And this is our final recording room, which is like a podcast room / video room. You can see there's some green screen up here that you can pull down, and you can do green screen video editing. We have a couple nice cameras we can pull. We don't leave them in there, but we can pull them out for you if you want to go and do some projects with that. All of this is free. It's crazy that the library pays for something so good and awesome, because it's just such an awesome resource for everyone in this community, as long as you have a library card. And we try to get everyone a library card. We do our best. So that said, we're going to go back to, this is stuff that you can do in the studio, and yeah, come get a tour with it. And now we're going to talk about some of our tools just very quickly, that if you don't want to come to the studio, or you want to try and just do it at home, because some of these digitization digitizations take a lot of time, particularly like a VHS conversion. So if you have old family home videos that you want to digitize and re-watch on your computer, or send into video files, or put them on DVDs, you can totally do that here, but you have to play them in real time. And so if you have, like, there are some VHSs that were 6 hours long, which I don't quite understand how that worked, but that is a long time to be sitting in our recording studio, and it might book you have to book it all day. And so if you want to avoid that, maybe just have it running at your own home, you can borrow a digitization kit. Now, you won't have an expert in the room with you to kind of help troubleshoot some of the issues, but we have, some guides built into it that should work, and it's not too hard to do. Once you plug all this stuff into your computer, it should give you the proper prompts of how to digitize your work. And we've got it. You can see there's like a little booklet with it. But it's super cool if you don't want to spend all the time in the studio and the library, that you can take this home and do it. Now, this is basically the same kit. It's the VCR to USB adapter without the VCR. So assuming you have your own VCR, you can just borrow this kit and hook your VCR up to your computer. And that's the kind of premise of that. So we have a full setup if you don't have VCR anymore, which I don't anymore, but I still have VHSs of family videos that I want to convert. Well, this one is if you have your own equipment, you just need the cables to kind of hook it up to your computer. And yeah, once again, if you kind of look on it, you can see more information without clicking on it. This next one is a film slide scanner, and this one is pretty cool. If you have a lot of old slides, it's a little time investment, which is what's a good one to have at home. But basically, you kind of load a slide onto the pictures of this thing. And I'm just going to pull up the website. But basically, you put the slides or film or whatever you want to digitize on it, and you manually slide it in here. It takes a picture for it, makes like a really, good scan of it, and then you put the next one in. So if you have hundreds of slides, it's going to take you a while, but it's a really good way to digitize your old family history or just your life or anything that you find. Like sometimes you go to an antique mall and you find old slide collections. Kind of fun to see what life was like at a time. I think it's funny to see those nowadays. So it's a good way to get digital files of all your old media like that. And it says you can do Super 8mm film with that. I wouldn't recommend that though, because you would have to do it one frame at a time, and that's not a good way to do that. We have better ways to do that. But this is a very useful, can scan most film type, but I wouldn't do the video. This is a recorder. It's like an H1 recorder, and this is or H1N. And it's a really high-end, just like sound recorder. So if you're interviewing a loved one or just want to do an interview or something, with someone and have a memory of the recorded audio, or maybe you're at a concert or something, you can have this with you and it'll make a good high quality recording. And you could turn it into an MP3, which is like kind of a low size file, or you could turn a really high file of like a WAV file, which is, what kind of music production standards kind of use until they're finished with their product. So great way if you have someone you want to kind of get memories recorded with, or some outdoor event you want to get recorded. And then along the same lines as that, we have this video recorder that has roughly the same kind of quality of speaker, but also a 4K camera. And this one is good for, if you had a band, like you knew someone is in a band or some concert, you could set up maybe a tripod or something you wanted to set up and record it. This would be a really good high-end quality recording. Like most people have phones now that can do a lot of this stuff, but this is going to be a much higher quality version of it. So if you had something special, this might be a little better option for you. Then we're going to power through these last few ones. We just have audio cassette digitization. If you have cassette players, we can digitize those. Same with floppy drives. I don't know if you remember these, but I remember having my first floppy drive, and it was very dear to my heart, but we can turn those and find old files with that. We have external CD drive and DVD burners that you can borrow. So if you want to burn your own DVDs or CDs, you can do that. We have a scanner that you can take. So if you had other stuff, so a lot of these were like film scanners and stuff that we kind of showcased earlier, but this is, just like photo scans if you want to do some decent quality photo scans. We have a couple of microphones and also a full HD webcam. So if you had some important meeting or something you wanted to showcase. And yeah, these resources are all for you with your library card. You can come and if you click on one, you can go to borrow now, you'll log in with your library card, and then you just go ahead and place, if it was available, it would say, or no, it says you could place a hold for it. And if you do that, if it says available now, then you can go to the tech desk and just get it instantly. Otherwise, we'll go and put it on the hold spot for you probably the next day or so. But if you want it right away, you can come to the tech desk and we can most likely get it for you if it is already available on location at the library. And that's kind of the end of the time, right? So we've got more things we can do in our department that we'd love to show you, but I just want to emphasize how much we want to help you with like so many different things. So I'm gonna just stop the share. And yeah, if there's anything you want technology related, we are here for you to help. And if you have any questions, yeah, feel free. I can stay for a little bit longer.
I'd just like to throw in one more thing because this was our experience. If you have a big project for audio or visual types of things or documentation, and it really could be a at-home DIY, but you're not comfortable, go and take an hour or two session and they'll help you. Then you can rent the equipment and take it home and finish it.
Look at all
That's a
these pro
great
tips.
way to learn how to do it. And when you're not really comfortable, and we found that was terrific.
Yeah. And so Monday through Friday, we have a studio manager who is in the sound and vision area named Matt. Excellent. Everyone on our team's excellent, but Matt is the most patient, wonderful guy to kind of help you get started on any project. And if for some reason he's busy, all of us are pretty much trained to be able to help you get started with anything as well. And we'd be happy to show you, particularly digitizing, which can be a little scary. You want to make sure you get it right. And we can get you started. And then, as Jack said, then you can go get the equipment yourself and do it on your own time when you have a lot of stuff. I have a coworker who had to sneak. She'd rent the slide scanner and go to her grandparents' house and like 50 slides at a time when they weren't looking would go digitize them because he didn't want her to do it. I think that's pretty funny.
I don't know about anybody else who's here today, but my head is going to explode with the amount of things that are in the library that I knew nothing about. I mean, I had a vague awareness of the things you've been describing, but wow, I am very, very impressed. And what a gem this building is and this library for this community. It's absolutely spectacular. Wow, thank you so much. I mean, this was a really, really important, a really wonderful and informative session. I'm amazed. I think everybody else here is too. So thank you. We'll do clapping our hands behind our
Jazz
black
hands for
screens.
Andrew.
Whatever.
Well, yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
We had to go fast, and there's plenty of stuff that we breezed over. And so please come talk to us. Like we love talking to people. We love helping people. So anything you want to go over, we're here for you. And even if it's a little complicated, we might schedule that one-on-one tech appointment we were talking about. But that's great. Like we love it. And especially if you come to a one-on-one tech appointment, you maybe schedule one. My advice for you would be to write down questions you have like up to the, because it might be a few days away or so. And just keep writing down all the tech questions you have. And then when you come to that appointment, come prepared with those questions and we'll go over all of them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I will add, our November Tech Club is off of our regular pattern. It's on Thursday, November 14th, which I believe is the second Thursday of the month because we have a staff day on the first Thursday of the month. So mark your calendars for November 14th. And we're excited. Erin Brumley, who is our IT coordinator at the library, is going to do a session on password management and all the tools that are out there to safeguard your passwords, so you don't have to write them down in your little black book and hide it under a sofa cushion. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Be great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming today, and we'll see you next time.